Hi, my name is AJ. I live in San Francisco. I have been an entrepreneur for the last decade. I grew up in the UK but moved out to San Francisco in 2008 when I started a startup out here. The startup was acquired by Google about 4 years ago, and I've now left Google and am currently about to start my second startup. So the startup I started out here in San Francisco was called Scoopler. It was a real-time search engine. My co-founder and I were actually watching the 6 o'clock news when we both lived in the UK. And what we realized was that whenever these big news events happened, there were all these eyewitnesses that would see it. And wouldn't it be amazing if there was a way for these people to report the news in real time? And at the time, Twitter was becoming really big, and a lot of people were kind of tweeting about things when they saw it happen. Like, let's say they saw a celebrity, or they witnessed an earthquake, or they were at a football game. And what we realized was that all this great content wasn't really being surfaced very well. So we decided to create Scoopler in order to find all this amazing real-time news content and put it in one place. And we did it by using a search engine. So you would just search for something you were interested in, and we would show you all the most relevant photos, videos, even links that people were tweeting out about that piece of content or that search right now. I think what motivated me to do a startup was that having dabbled in startups at university, I worked on one startup for about a year while I was there, and having done a bunch of internships at much larger companies, I realized that the startup kind of way of doing things was really what worked well for me. I liked the idea of being in control of what I wanted to do. I liked the idea of being able to chase these big problems and having a big impact as a single person. And I also really liked the fact that I could apply all this stuff that I'd learned in doing a computer science degree to some interesting technological opportunities and problems. We really wanted to be based in San Francisco. That was where we knew we wanted to be located because that's where a lot of the innovation in consumer technology and internet companies was happening. It was also where we could be surrounded by great mentors, a great community of other founders and investors too. I absolutely love it here, but my family is just really far away. I think that was one of the big sacrifices of moving out to the US. I think the second thing was that obviously doing a startup straight out of university, you don't necessarily have that same early 20s experience that a lot of other people do. A lot of my friends, just started graduate jobs. They were surrounded by lots of other people that were doing the same thing. They had this great network of professionals. They would be going out every night and really enjoying their early 20s from that perspective. We spent most of our time coding on our website, and our weekends consisted of going out to a bar on Saturday night, and then once we got over our hangover on Sunday morning, we'd be straight back to work again. I have absolutely no regrets in the decision I made, and I think that even though there were a lot of sacrifices, it was an amazing experience. I mean, I would have never thought when I was 18 that I would be working in San Francisco 3 or 4 years later on a startup that I founded on my own, and that I would be exposed to all these amazing opportunities of living here. And also the fact that I got to do my own startup meant that I had to learn things really, really quickly. And that was really great because I became a jack of all trades. I started out as a computer scientist, but ended up getting experience in marketing and PR and hiring and managing finances, pitching to investors. It was just such a well-rounded experience. I honestly am so grateful for it. But what I think separates a successful entrepreneur from one that isn't successful is just the determination, especially when you fail. Like, failing happens a lot when you're an entrepreneur, and it's the people that walk away from that and learn from it and then come back and try again that tend to be successful. And if you give up too early, that tends to be a pretty good sign that it might not be the right thing for you. I think another important thing as well is just belief in what you're doing. If you have a product or an idea that you really care about, or a vision that you really want to execute on, it's that belief that keeps you going every day or into the late hours of the night. I met my first co-founder while I was looking for co-founders in London, and that was when we started out Scoopler. We were lucky enough to meet each other at a networking event for entrepreneurs, and he and I were very like-minded, and we also both happened to have been born in Sri Lanka, so we kind of had that in common. He went to MIT, I went to Oxford, we both did computer science. We instantly kind of hit it off. and it was kind of like co-founder love at first sight. My second co-founder was a roommate of my first co-founder when he was working here in San Francisco. So we all kind of by association already had some trust built in too. And I think the important thing there, I always say when it comes to finding co-founders, is think of it like a marriage. You wouldn't start a marriage with someone after meeting them for one day. So you shouldn't start a company with someone like that either. You should really get to know them and work out if you guys are a good fit together. I think one of the first challenges when I started a business was that in 2008, there just weren't that many entrepreneurs that were doing technology companies in the UK. I was still in touch with my friends from university that were doing startups, but I felt like every time I went to a networking event, there were like the same 10 people. So one of the things we decided to do once I found a co-founder was actually to apply to a program in the United States called Y Combinator. It's a seed stage incubator where they invest in about 20 companies at the same time. We spend a whole summer together, and so you get that instant community and group of mentors that you can work with, and that was kind of exactly what we needed to get started. The second biggest challenge we faced was actually getting funding for our startup. We did Y Combinator, and at the end of it, there's a demo day where you demo to all these investors. We did the demo and we thought it went pretty well, but unfortunately for us, the recession hit just a week after demo day. And at that moment in time, all the investors just decided they didn't want to invest in companies and they wanted to be pretty conservative for the next few months. And as a result, there wasn't really any seed investment available. So what we ended up doing was we kind of had to put our dreams of moving to the United States on hold, go back to the UK and work out of my parents' house for about 6 months, just waiting for more investors to be willing to invest in our company and iterating on the idea. We kind of called it the nuclear winter. But in about 6 months, things started to turn around in the economy. And as we started looking for investors again, people were really excited about the idea of real-time content. And so we ended up just being the right place at the right time and raised around pretty quickly. In total, I think we raised about $1 million for the startup. I think some of my fondest memories of working at my startup was just the camaraderie of being a small group of guys just like coding away through the middle of the night, sometimes until sunrise, and just getting totally, carried away with working on this product and not even kind of thinking about what else is going on in the world. We were just so focused some of the time that we would go on for days and then have to like come up for air. And while I look back now and think that's kind of like a little bit crazy, but back then it was just like such a cool experience. The company evolved a lot over the course of the 3 years that we were working on it, and I think we went through quite a few different ideas. We started off with real-time search. The idea behind that was that people were tweeting when they saw things happen at big news events, like whether it's an earthquake or a celebrity was spotted or they're at a football game, and we wanted to surface all of that content in a search engine, right? When we launched it, we realized that a lot of other people had the same idea, and they launched around the same time. And so it was important to differentiate ourselves. And Google also was really interested in the opportunity too, because obviously Google is the king of search. And so it got much better at doing real-time search as well. So we were looking at our own data, and one of the things we thought about was how can we focus better? Because when you're in a startup that's trying to compete with lots of other people and you want to differentiate, focus is always a good way of doing it. And so we started thinking about what were people really searching for on our website. And what people were searching for was celebrity-related news and celebrity-related content, like where was the celebrity spotted, or what's the latest news about some celebrity, or when Michael Jackson passed away, everybody wanted to see the news article. They wanted to know more about the story. And so we saw so many queries like that on Scoopla, and we thought to ourselves, well, how can we better gear our website towards that? And so what we decided was that we could use our technology that we'd already built to find celebrity-specific content on Twitter. And one of the most interesting things that people cared about when it came to celebrities was where were they last spotted. And so we basically repurposed all of our algorithms to find celebrity sightings on Twitter. And that website was called Just Spotted. Well, the way we distinguished ourselves from our competitors was really focusing on one niche area, celebrities. While everybody else was focusing on real-time search as a whole, and competing with the likes of Google, we were focusing on this one narrow area where there weren't many technology companies. There was just us and TMZ, and they manually found all of their celebrity sightings. Well, we just spotted what we realized was that people were really curious about celebrities. So we tried to really capture that when we launched the product. So we thought, how could we make that really interesting and really pique people's interests? So we created just this one page, and all it had was a map of the world, and sightings of celebrities would just pop up. One here in America, one in China, one in India, maybe a few more in the UK or in Paris or wherever it was. And we had all these celebrity sightings popping up on this map, and no one knew how we did it. And what we put in the top corner was 7 days until launch. And so we created this mystery, like how are these people getting this data? Where was it coming from? People were trying to like work it out, and some news site suggested that we had attached GPS trackers to all the celebrities, which we thought was really funny. Of course, all of the data was just coming from all these tweets, because when people saw celebrities, they were tweeting about it. But the cool thing was that it got picked up again by the technology press, but very quickly the Hollywood press got interested. They'd never seen anything like this before. No one had so many celebrity sightings in one place. And so Hollywood Reporter wrote about it, and then it was followed up by Fox News, which is like a big news site in the US, and then the BBC followed up on it. We got on Good Morning America that weekend where we were talking about it. So by the time we actually launched the whole website, we had hundreds of people just waiting for it to launch. So that little kind of guerrilla marketing PR kind of trick worked really well for us. The energy and atmosphere was pretty crazy. We were cramped into my apartment. There was 3 of us living there, including me and my co-founder. And our living room basically was the office for the startup. At any one time, there may be 12 different interns, a team of engineers, and the 3 co-founders working there. We would have TV crews coming in and out because we got so much media attention at the beginning. And upstairs was Airbnb. They were just starting out back then. They were also in a small apartment. They had about 20 people. And every morning I would hear the pitter-patter of the Airbnb employees running up the stairs to go to work. And I think like there was just something really unique about that experience. Like being in that apartment, all squashed in there, like elbow to elbow, working on this startup together. And before we launched Juspodo, we really wanted to do it all in 3 months. So we were working all-nighters. And I remember the day we launched, none of us had slept for the last 2 days. And our engineer that was in charge of doing the final push of code to launch the product pressed the button and then fell asleep on my bed immediately afterwards. So the way we got people to keep coming back to the website, which is obviously a really important thing when you're building a new a consumer website, is to get people to follow their favorite celebrities. So just like you could follow people on Twitter, you'd become a fan of a celebrity, and then whenever a celebrity was spotted, you'd get updates about it. And that would keep people coming back because they see the updates in their emails or on our mobile app, and they click through. We had a mobile app. We launched the mobile app just about a month before we were acquired by Google. I think as an entrepreneur, I've been lucky to have successes in lots of different stages of my career. But I think for me, it's really been about the learning that I've done during that time. Having a startup that was at university and learning a lot of the early skills of being an entrepreneur very early on while I was still doing my degree was really important. And then doing Scoopla for 3 years, coming out here to the US, having an amazing set of mentors, investors and friends and co-founders that I can really rely on and learn with has been really great. And then working at Google, a place that's built on a culture of innovation and really smart people, I learned a lot of stuff about what it's like to build a much larger company and what it means to build culture into a company too. So for me, really, it's been all of those things. I wouldn't say that success is something that I've fully experienced yet. It's something that I'm always on a journey to. And my next startup, I'm hoping, will be successful in that it will be scalable and it'll be something I can do for a long period of time and will really focus on what I enjoy, which actually is to do with music. When it comes to maintaining an entrepreneurial spirit, I think part of it is just to take that to everything you do, whether it's been when I've been working in startups or been working at Google. I've always tried to empower myself in my role, and sometimes that responsibility didn't even exist. When I was at Google, I transferred onto a team where my role didn't even exist, and I had to actually carve it out for myself. And that's really what the entrepreneurial spirit is about. It's about growing into responsibilities, taking on new challenges, and not really taking no for an answer, and really knowing how to push yourself. When it comes to leadership, I think one of the most important lessons that I've learned, and I didn't really learn it doing startups, but I learned it later working at Google, was that you have to really be able to empower the people around you. When you're trying to control everything yourself, it can become really hard to scale that, and it doesn't really work. I think the part of that is building a team that you really trust and that you can really rely on, and then being able to give them the responsibility they need to succeed without you becoming a bottleneck to their success. That's something I experienced at Google that people did really well. I think there are a lot of little mistakes that I've probably made and learned from as an entrepreneur, but I think one of the biggest mistakes I've actually made is not following something I'm truly passionate about, but just chasing the biggest opportunities. With Scoopla, real-time search and search in general was a big opportunity. We knew people would invest in it. With celebrity spottings, we saw this opportunity within search to follow celebrities, but it was never something that me and my co-founders were super passionate about or really believed in ourselves. It was more because it felt like the right opportunity for the company as a whole. With my next startup, I'm actually focusing on what I truly love, which is music. And what I want to do is create a startup that's creating music technology for musicians. And that's something I really care about. And I guess that also brings on to one of the second mistakes I've made in the past that was a big one, which was not working with the right people. I really want to work with people that are really passionate about the problem space and that really believe in it. I think in the past, we've always just tried to hire either the best engineers or the engineers we can get a hold of the fastest. Right now, I'm trying to focus on building a team that just really care about music. I think what has surprised me the most is about how actually liberating and fulfilling it is. Whenever you start in the world of startups, you're always afraid that when you're doing something on your own, it's going to be scary. You're not going to have the support of working at a larger company. Even leaving Google after working there 3 years, I was really, really scared of going it alone again. But every time I've embarked on a new journey in a startup, I've always ended up feeling really great about it, because the surprising thing is that actually, if you have that startup mentality, it's a hugely liberating and powerful way of kind of steering your own destiny. So I'm just about to embark on a new journey of working on a new startup. I'm pretty excited to be moving into a space that I'm really passionate about, which is music and music technology. I've been producing music and DJing for the last 4 years on the side, and now I'm kind of doing it full time, really understanding the music space. I think this time around, when it comes to building a startup, I want to build something that's scalable, that's going to last for a long time. It's not really focused on an acquisition or an exit. It's really focused on building great technology and building an awesome team and a community of people that really care about music. And I think my one piece of advice to first-time entrepreneurs is just focus on something you really care about, something you love to do, build a product that other people will love using, continue to iterate on it, and surround yourself by people that can really push you and keep you focused.